Hi guys, Office Bloke Dave here.
And I'm Ash.
Together we are Office Bloke Dave and I'm Ash. That's all you need to know about that.
Apparently so.
Yeah, someone did ask me why you were called African Ash in some of the videos in the comment section.
Well, originally that you wanted something that would roll off the tongue, obviously because you've got Office Bloke or OB Dave. So we tried to come up with something and you came up with African Ash, but...
Also, you're African.
I am. Well, I'm
Zimbabwean.
Zimbabwean.
That's the question they were asking.
Yeah, I'm Zimbabwean, which is in Africa, but I don't associate as African. I associate as Zimbabwean. And also, it just felt weird. It just, like, I don't know, I'd never just got really used to it.
It's because you've not lived there for a long time, isn't it?
Yeah, I've been here longer. I've been longer in the UK now than I have been in Zimbabwe. So I was born and raised there, lived there until I was 16. And now I've been here in the UK for 19 years this year, so...
Nice. Well, there you go. Question answered.
There you go.
Simple as. Right then, do you know that today is quite a special day over in America?
Well, yeah, I absolutely adore American football, so I know quite a lot about the American culture.
All right. Well, what is it today then?
4th of July.
What does that mean?
Independence.
From who?
That I don't remember.
From us.
Oh, is it from us?
Yeah, it's when they kicked us out.
Oh, right. So this is all in relation to like back in school when they talk about the Boston Tea Party and things.
July the 4th, 1776, Declaration of Independence was signed to say we don't want your queen anymore.
I was going to say we did a very small part of American and British history in Zimbabwe. It was mostly African history.
You don't really learn it over here that much.
Really?
Because we lost. That's pretty much it.
The British are sore about it.
Yeah. This is something ages ago we reacted to over at Office Blokes React, and I thought in the spirit of July the 4th and Independence Day and all that, I'd show you.
Sweet, I'm up for that.
Star Spangled Banner as you've never heard it.
Okay. I mean, I really love obviously the opening to the Super Bowl, and they always have someone sing the Star Spangled Banner.
Yeah, they know how to do the ceremony, don't they? Whereas we do God Save the Queen or God Save the King
and it just sounds like
over here, and it's a bit like it needs updating, doesn't it? Big time. Come on, Charles, pull your finger out. Right then, Star Spangled Banner. Oh, that's because I've been doing videos.
I know.
Star Spangled Banner as you've never heard it. You ready?
I'm go, yeah.
Oh.
You and your technical
There was a lawyer once, his name was Francis Scott Key. He penned a song that I'm sure you're aware of. You've seen it. It's in most hymnals throughout our churches. It's called the National Anthem. It is our song as an American. We go, however, to a ball game. We stand in our church services and we sing the words of that song, and they float over our minds and our lips, and we don't even realize what we're singing. Most of us have memorized it as a child, but we've never really thought about what it means. Let me tell you a story. Francis Scott Key was a lawyer in Baltimore. The colonies were engaged in vicious conflict with the mother country, Britain. Because of this conflict and the protractedness of it, they had accumulated prisoners on both sides. The American colonies had prisoners and the British had prisoners. And the American government initiated a move. They went to the British and they said, let us negotiate for the release of these prisoners. They said, we want to send a man out to discuss this with you. They were holding the American prisoners in boats about 1,000 yards offshore. And they said, we want to send a man by the name of Francis Scott Key. He will come out and negotiate to see if we can make a mutual exchange. On the appointed day in a rowboat, he went out to this boat and he negotiated with the British officials. And they reached a conclusion that men could be exchanged on a one-for-one basis. Francis Scott Key, jubilant with the fact that he'd been successful, went down below in the boats, and what he found was a cargo hold full of humanity, men. And he said, men, I've got news for you tonight. You're free. He said, tonight I have negotiated successfully your return to the colonies. He said, you'll be taken out of this boat, out of this filth, out of your chains. As he went back up on board to arrange for their passage to the shore, the admiral came and he said, we have a slight problem. He said, we will still honor our commitment to release these men, but it'll be merely academic after tonight. It won't matter. And Francis Scott Key said, what do you mean? He said, well, Mr. Key, he said, tonight we have laid an ultimatum upon the colonies. Your people will either capitulate and lay down the colors of that flag that you think so much of, or you see that fort right over there, Fort Henry? He said, we're going to remove it from the face of the earth.
Sorry to pause. I think I kind of remember a little bit of history from school. Is it that the flag kept standing even though the British were assaulting constantly, like non-stop?
Kind of, yeah.
I'm trying to remember the history.
I think it's a while since I watched this, but I think there's well, we'll let them tell the story, rather, because I always get it wrong, as anyone who watches the Office Blokes knows. Whenever I try and state anything as fact, it's always wrong. But
because it's quite, this is where I'm getting confused, is because, well, mixed up, because I know there's a number of moments in history in America where men have obviously stood the ground to hold the flag in place.
Yeah.
And obviously even like countless people dying, the flag has continued to stand.
Yeah.
And it's always been that symbol. So I'm trying to remember if this is the same one. They're going to tell us, but that's what I was just asking.
Yeah, I mean, it's fine to pause and comment as well, because that's what we're here for at the end of the day.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, I think so. I was going to try and tell you what I remember of this, but again, I'd probably just butcher it and get a couple of things wrong.
I would
it's best to get it from the source.
Yeah, definitely. Especially as I don't really know this kind of history very well. Mine was mostly Zimbabwean history that we learned. So
I do remember this being extremely powerful, though.
Yeah.
You know, when it gets into the story. So we'll crack on.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, just to mention, I'm drinking tea for this one. It's very passive-aggressive.
It is very passive-aggressive.
He said, how are you going to do that? He said, if you will, scan the horizon of the sea. And as he looked, he could see hundreds of little dots. And he said, that's the entire British war fleet. He said, all of the gunpowder, all of the armament is being called upon to demolish that fort. It will be here within striking distance in a matter of about 2.5 hours. He said, the war is over. These men would be free anyway. He said, you can't shell that fort. He said, that's a large fort. He said, it's full of women and children. He says, it's predominantly not a military fort. He said, don't worry about it. They said, we've left them a way out. And he said, what's that? He said, do you see that flag way up on the rampart? He said, we have told them that if they will lower that flag, the shelling will stop immediately. And we'll know that they've surrendered, and you'll now be under British rule. Francis Scott Key went down below and told the men what was about to happen. And they said, how many ships? He said, hundreds. The ships got closer. Francis Scott Key went back up on top and he said, men, I'll shout down to you what's going on as we watch. As twilight began to fall, and as the haze hung over the ocean as it does at sunset, suddenly the British war fleet unleashed. He says the sound was deafening. There were so many guns that there were no reliefs. He said it was absolutely impossible to talk or hear. He said suddenly the sky, although dark, was suddenly lit. And he says from down below, all he could hear the men, the prisoners, saying was, tell us where the flag is. What have they done with the flag? Is the flag still flying over the rampart? Tell us. 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours into the shelling, every time the bomb would explode and it would be close to the flag, they could see the flag in the illuminated red glare of that bomb, and Francis Scott Key would report down to the men below, it's still up. It's not down. The admiral came and he said, your people are insane. He said, what's the matter with them? He said, don't they understand this is an impossible situation? Francis Scott Key said he remembered what George Washington had said. He said the thing that sets the American Christian apart from all other people in the world is he will die on his feet before he'll live on his knees. The admiral said, we have now instructed all of the guns to focus on the rampart to take that flag down. He said, we don't understand something. Our reconnaissance tells us that that flag has been hit directly again and again and again, and yet it's still flying. We don't understand that. But he said, now we're about to bring every gun for the next 3 hours to bear on that point. Francis Scott Key said the barrage was unmerciful. All that he could hear was the men down below praying. The prayer, God, keep that flag flying where we last saw it. Sunrise came. He said there was a heavy mist hanging over the land, but the rampart was tall enough. There stood the flag, completely nondescript, in shreds. The flagpole itself was at a crazy angle, but the flag was still at the top. Francis Scott Key went aboard and immediately went into Fort Henry to see what had happened. And what he'd found had happened was that that flagpole and that flag had suffered repetitious direct hits. And when it had fallen, but men, fathers, who knew what it meant for that flag to be on the ground, although knowing that all of the British guns were trained on it, walked over and held it up humanly until they died. Thereby,
we were the bad guys in this, or my ancestors were anyway, and it's choking me up listening to the story.
I'm not surprised. Like, it is ringing bells. It is definitely what I was thinking. Like, obviously, man after man went to hold it up. That's what I do remember from school. You say your ancestors, my ancestors as well, because obviously my mum's side originate from Kent and my dad's side originate from Cornwall.
Well, my family were mostly Irish at this point, so I don't think they would have particularly...
They would have been involved in that. No.
Yeah, we had our own issues, but it's such a powerful image, isn't it?
Yeah, it's unbelievable.
And if you think, like, a barrage of, 12 hours, 14 hours, whatever it is, of just constant bombardment, and then people standing there watching the people holding the flag get killed, and then you just go up and take your turn.
Take your turn, yeah. It's incredible. Like, I suppose the symbol of the flag for Americans is the symbol of our, like, royal family, isn't it, for the British?
Yeah. I mean, somewhere along the line...
We always talk about Queen and country.
Yeah. We'd lost it to a degree.
Yeah.
And there is an urban myth about not being able to fly our flag and, you know, councils telling people to take it down. I've never heard of it actually happening.
No, I've not heard it.
I think it's something that was spread by kind of far right to try and stoke the fire the other way, if you know what I mean. But
I found interesting, obviously, when I moved over to the UK, is you guys you're very patriotic, but you don't do much patriotism at school. Like in Zimbabwe, every morning we would stand and sing the national anthem, whereas half of the British don't even know the national anthem here. No. They don't even know the song. But the Americans, they also do the same as us Zimbabweans, as they will sing the national anthem quite often.
I just wonder if, because America's history is a more recent history, that it's still in the blood, if you know what I mean. Whereas, like,
you guys are generations.
We've been at war for 2,000 years on and off with everyone around us, and maybe it's a different kind of patriotism.
Well, yeah, I suppose Zimbabwe's independence, I hope I'm not getting this wrong, is 82 from Rhodesia. So it's technically quite a young country in that sense. Obviously, it was Zimbabwe before the British came and colonised it and named it Rhodesia, but
it's a very powerful story, isn't it?
Yeah, incredible story.
Held it up humanly until they died. Their bodies were removed and others took their place. Francis Scott Key said what held that flagpole in place at that unusual angle.
Sorry, I giggled because we both picked our cups up at the same time. It was like, I just
you're drinking coffee though, so you're not being passive aggressive like a...
Well, no. Like I said,
I'm not really. It's too late for coffee for me.
Like I said, I associate more with Zimbabwean than British, even though I've been here longer.
Were patriots' bodies. He penned the song, "Oh, say can you see by the dawn's early light. What so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming. Or the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that the flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet fly and wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave? The debt was demanded. The price, it was paid.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets spread clear, the bombs bursting in air gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave? Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
With a story like that, if I was American, I'd have the flag everywhere.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like flags all over the car, bumper stickers. I'd be all in, like, without a doubt.
Well, yeah, that I completely understand that. Like, what an incredible story, and like act of defiance against somebody who's trying to demand like control over your country that you guys have built. I get it. Unfortunately, the British has a very dark history with all of that in quite a few countries.
I think the world does, though. It's a complete different time.
Yeah.
Like, we weren't the only colonialists. We weren't the only people to have an empire.
No,
it's
like they talk about, like obviously quite a few of the ancient, like Romans were a big part of that.
Loads of people did. French did.
Yeah.
Like there's so many empires that have come and gone.
Yeah.
And I think like we kind of got lucky that we're a little island and we were hard to invade, and that's probably why ours endured so long.
Yeah, and the weather's awful here.
No one wants to stay here.
No one wants to stay.
Apart from the Vikings, who just came and just lived here and had multiple women and just integrated. Like,
yeah. And you're definitely a part Viking. There's
I'm
no
going to do a
doubt.
23 minutes.
I want to do, yeah.
But that's...
Apparently I'm part French.
I believe that. I think you're part Dutch.
What? Really?
I think there's Dutch there, yeah.
That would be interesting if that
was. They make tall women.
I get what you're saying. My family's quite obsessed with our history, and obviously I've got my family tree on pretty much 3 sides of the family.
Let's do a 23 meeting.
Yeah, I'm up for that.
I mean, so what did you think?
I really enjoyed that. Like, it did remind me that I do remember some of the history from school. Like I said, we don't touch a great deal on the American or British history, just the sort of major bits and pieces, mostly British, because obviously Zimbabwe was a British colonized country up until a certain point. But it's so beautiful. It's like, I suppose it resonates a lot with me as well, because we fought for independence. And I wasn't born in Rhodesia, I was born in Zimbabwe. So that battle against, obviously, the offensive party is quite powerful.
We at the Office Blokes reacted to a video that was, what if the Brits would have won this war? And like most of the other colonies, the theory on this video was America would have been granted its independence anyway, but through peaceful means years later. And essentially, America would have been a Commonwealth country. Yeah. And because of that, the First and the Second World War both would have ended very quickly. Very quickly. Because as a Commonwealth country, they would have just been in the war as soon as we were. They were. It was a fun thought experiment. Yeah, because it's who knows what would have actually happened.
It's always interesting to think about like that. Well, what was that series? Because that always makes me think. The Man in the High Castle.
I hated it.
I know you hated it, but the concept of changing, like how the outcome of something like major in our history could.
As soon as I realised there was time travel in it, I was like,
I know.
So what a great concept.
But then, it wasn't.
Yeah, but it's very deep though. Like I got choked up.
Yeah, it's incredibly deep. Like I felt very connected to that video. That's incredible.
For me, anyone making the ultimate sacrifice for something they believe in, and what I don't mean by that is lunatics with bombs strapped to them and things like that. I mean, like, nobly fighting for a cause in that sort of way, and then sacrificing your life because of it. It's always cut me deep.
Same.
It really has. It's such a powerful. It's the most final act you can do in service to something other than yourself. And it's mind-blowing, like proper bravery to be able to watch other men do that, and then you just go.
But that's the same as I've said to you, is I've always had such a deep respect for like our military and our serving men and women. And there was a point I was going to join the British Army and give my service, because my grandfather was a Lancaster bomber pilot in World War II and was held in the prisoner of war camps for 2 years.
My granddad was stationed in Egypt.
Oh wow!
During the Second World War,
that's incredible.
He was given a pistol. He was a motorbike messenger for the army.
Right.
He was given a pistol with no bullets in it, and essentially they said, if the Germans get you, point the gun and shout bang, and then run away.
Damn.
Yeah. My dad's dad was in the Merchant Navy.
Whoa.
Working in the engine rooms.
Oh wow!
And he was on a ship that got sunk in the North Atlantic.
That's mental. I saw. Well, it was obviously my cousin who inherited the diary, but my grandfather obviously kept a diary when he was being held in the prisoner of war camps. My dad said he didn't really talk about a lot of the stuff that went on until towards the sort of end of his life.
Yeah.
But yeah, I that is incredible. Like the Americans have such a colourful history, and it's just incredible what they fought for. And I mean,
you can see why you'd fight for independence, especially. I think one of the issues was I might get this wrong, taxation without representation. So we were paying to the crown. They were paying to the crown.
Yeah.
But had no say in their affairs whatsoever. And anyone is going to be like, I'm not having that. What are we talking about?
Well, that's what I remember, and as well as like. The American, obviously, people were so upset with the British trying to make control and like take half of their, production,
I think it's probably more than half. I think it's probably a lion's share of it.
When they obviously cut through the earth themselves and made America what it is, and then the British are coming along and, oh, we should take this. Thank you very much.
Yeah, what I will say is I don't think it was specifically Brits like... No. It was like the rich elitists. Like, my family would have just been like...
The lords and ladies of this country that are no really longer a thing.
My family were travellers over in Northern Ireland at this point.
So. My dad thinks that we were pirates in Cornwall.
Nice. Anyway, so there you go. That's a little 4th of July reaction. Happy Independence Day.
Absolutely.
It's not just a Will Smith movie, is it?
No.
There's actually real history behind it. And all that sort of stuff. And,
that's a bad joke.
I probably said it with the Office Blokes, the exact same thing. Cheers for that one, guys. Do make sure you like and subscribe and all that good stuff. And, if you want to see more of Ash, just let me know. Let her know. And
Yeah,
yeah,
I
see you soon.
do check messages.
Good.
Cool.
See ya.
See you guys.